All right, and boom, we are live. How's it going, Dan?
Hello, Seth. How
Good to
how are
see
you
you.
doing?
Ready for 2020. It's a very cool number for the new year. I like it better than 2019. That just sounds weird, you know?
It does, but it's a bit crazy. 2019 has just flown by. It feels like quarter four was like 1 month ago.
Yeah, it really does. It's insane. And hey, everybody, good to see you guys. I can see you guys chats coming in here. Thank you guys, by the way, for your patience. Thank you so much. We had a lot of planning for this because this is a big deal. And so we're taking it extremely seriously. For the next 2 hours, we're going to teach you a ton. So all you need to do is just be ready to get a lot of content in a very short amount of time. So Dan, I'm going to start. Let me know if you can see my screen okay. And we
Sure.
will begin. And welcome, everybody. Happy 2020. All right. So I'm going to start presenting my screen here. Give me 1 second. All right. Where did my screen button go?
It'll be right at the top.
You grab the
You
slide real quick?
in the center at the top when you hover over it.
I think I lost it. Oh, there it is. No. Where did it go? So, guys, give me 1 second. Screen sharing button. Where'd it go?
Oh, no, it's in here.
Oh, there. Cool. Thanks. Yeah. All right, guys. And boom, we are beginning. Okay. Can you see my screen okay, Dan?
All good. All good. Finally. Tech is not on our side today.
All right, guys, we're going to teach you how to build a fortune on Amazon FBA in 2020. Now, let me just begin by saying I want you to notice that there's not a Lamborghini behind me. I don't own a Lamborghini. I own a Tesla, not because I think it's so cool, though it's a cool car, but because that was a gift to myself for working really hard. There are going to be no craptaculous claims on this. This is going to be a very serious training. I'm kind of in a very serious mood today because I'm a little pissed off. Because if you go online and search and look for how to sell on Amazon, there's a lot of content that is complete crap BS. And I'm telling you, it makes me angry because many of you guys know some people have gone out, they've taken our YouTube videos, some of you guys seen it, and point for point duplicated exactly what we teach. And everything we teach you is from our own experience. And in case you're wondering, like, oh, how do I know it's true? Here you go. Here's one of our latest Amazon stores. This is just one of them, okay? I'm going to hit Command R. I'm going to refresh my screen. And I want you to see here. Give it a second. Command R. And boom, you can see this is real. This isn't made up. This isn't Inspector Element. This isn't Photoshopped. I'm going to hit it again. Command R. This is a real Amazon store. And you can see, boom, here it is. And on my private label products, I'm between 40 and 60% margin. So this isn't just moving money. And by the way, this store is under 6 months old. Now, the reason I'm just kind of a little irritated today and I'm being very aggressive is because there are a lot of people out there photoshopping screenshots of their sales and pretending like that's their Amazon sales to get you to buy a course. What we teach you is from our experience. And the reason it makes me angry is because it dirties the waters for legitimate coaching companies like Just One Dime and the few out there who are actually still honest and true and actually believe in integrity and helping you succeed. So here's my promise to you. Everything we teach you today is going to be practical things you can apply to your own life. You will get an insane amount of practical content. Dan and I are combining thousands of hours of experience selling at Amazon. I did not learn how to do the $50,000 a month you just saw. I didn't learn how to do that in a few months. Okay, I've been doing this for a few years now, and I can tell you a lot about Amazon. And if I don't know something, then I'll tell you that. That's why at least 4 of you now have received free iPads because you stumped me. And if I don't know the answer, no problem. Then you get the iPad. Now we're not doing Stump Seth today though, because this is going to be straight trading. But I just want you to know that what Dan and I teach you comes from our experience. And I would challenge any buffoon out there to challenge that. Come to the office here, look at our Seller Central accounts, fly with me to London, as Dan and I will be next week, and ask yourself this question: do these guys know what they're doing? Yes, we do, because it is our life. We are sellers in Amazon first. We are coaches second. We don't teach because we can't sell. We teach because we are badass good at selling. And that's all I want to say. Okay, I'm done. I'm done venting, Dan. Is there anything you want to add to that? I'm a little angry.
That's a tough rant to follow, but I think you touched on some really good points, and I'm keen to share what we've readied for today. I think it's going to help a lot of sellers. So keen to jump into it. Also very keen for London.
Oh my goodness, I cannot wait. If you guys are in Europe, you need to go to justonetime.com/London. Dan and I are going to be there teaching you tactics specifically for people who live in Europe who are trying to sell on Amazon. Again, we will teach you from our experience. We're not faking it. We're not pretending. We're not trying to seduce you into something. We're going to freaking tell you the truth. And we're going to tell you how easy and hard it is and all the fun you can have with it. And at the end of today, you're going to get to meet a bunch of my staff. Again, just so you can see, we're not just like some guy running around with a course. This is a legitimate headquartered coaching company in Austin, Texas. If you saw behind me, there's two guys right here who are helping with the camera equipment and stuff like that. We're real. We're here. If you cut us, we bleed. If you sell with us, you make money. So at the end of today's training, we have a special gift for everyone who joins Just One Dime before 2020. Now, again, total transparency. At the end of this training, I will encourage you. I will do everything in my persuasion power to get you to join Just One Dime. You know that? I will do that. And I will be totally upfront. You want to know why? Because it's changing lives. Because multiple people are now millionaires who have joined Just One Dime and are applying the training. I will show you screenshot after screenshot after screenshot from Facebook. It's really hard to fake that. Like, you'd have to do a lot of major editing. In fact, I will ask you to call these people, go find them online and ask them, is this true? Is this legitimate? Is what they do genuine? And again, I'm sorry to take so much time talking about this, guys, but I feel like it's needed because so many people are disillusioned with the guru with the course who pretends like they know what they're doing when they don't. And because they don't have original content, they copy what you're doing, and it makes me angry and a little flattered. All right, who is Seth? I'm going to do a very brief introduction to me for those of you guys who are new, and Dan will do a brief introduction of himself. So this is me and my family. My oldest daughter was not able to be in this picture. This is actually a really cool picture. I brought it here because it was at Ecom 2019 in Los Angeles, right before we had a really cool party on a boat with a bunch of amazing Just One Dime warriors. I was broken, I was hurting, and I set out with a single dime. I was $24,000 in debt. I drove a beat up minivan, which I'm still proud of to this day. And I decided one day, instead of working for the richest company in the world and being the brokest man in America, I'm gonna go start something on my own and learn how to sell online. And so that's what I did. And so I began doubling a dime. I literally walked around. If you want the proof, go look at YouTube. It's documented. You can't fake that. I walked around and I asked people, hey, will you double my dime? And I doubled it 20 times, which brings you to over $104,000. Some of you guys are like, that doesn't make sense. Get a calculator. You'll see it does. And I continued to use that money and reinvest, buying and selling products on eBay, on Amazon, on our own Shopify e-commerce websites, advertising through Instagram as well for our own brands, and then also started doing real estate condo short-term rentals through Airbnb. Again, you can go to Airbnb and find 6 of our condos that we were running subleasing. Now we own our own properties and we're having those fixed up to do the same. I failed my way into success. I made lots of mistakes along the way. It was a struggle in my marriage, in my parenting, in my finances. I had to change on the inside in order to become the kind of man I needed to be in order to learn how to make money. And I promise you this, no matter how much training Dan and I bring you today, and I promise we'll bring you a ton, your number one struggle will never, ever be your coach, ever. Your money in your bank account, nope. Your knowledge, guess again. The number one struggle is only your willingness to go after it hard and to keep learning from your mistakes. That is your number one struggle. And that's my number one struggle. When I get up in the morning, I stand in front of the mirror every single morning and I say, okay, Seth, are you going to get in your own way today? Are you going to get in the way of your own success? Your number one challenge will be you. And what I love about that is you become your greatest competitor. And it is so satisfying when you begin to see your heart grow bigger as you learn better how to be a man who can grow in loving his wife, how to be a father who can learn how to love his kids, how to be a person who can manage his finances well. It's all connected. It's not like, oh, here over here, get rich, get rich. It doesn't work like that. You have to grow as a person to get to that point. And it requires a lot of growth on the inside out. I'm a 7-figure Amazon seller and I'm the co-founder of Just One Dime and other companies as well. And today I sell on Amazon first, I coach second in order of priority. One of the reasons we hired so many staff here was to give me freedom so I could focus on the physical products and not have all my time taken up with the coaching company. So I could continue to do what I absolutely love. I love teaching, but I love selling and learning and growing and marketing online through our physical products. So that's the reason we have this backup here, is so it gives me the freedom to do that. And that's why we're here today. And a phrase you'll often hear from me is keeping it real. My name is Seth Kneep. And a guy, when I used to work for Apple, one of my subordinates like started making a joke. I was like, oh, it's Seth, keeping it real. And it just kind of stuck. I'm about keeping it real. We will keep it real with you today. I promise. We will tell you the truth. And there's freedom in that. Dan, your turn, my friend.
Yes, awesome hearing that, Seth, and especially that backstory. But myself, I actually started off, in the beginning, I was quite frustrated. Actually, if I start right at the beginning, I actually finished a degree in marketing management, and I did quite well in the degree. But as soon as I started moving off into the corporate world, things just began to not make as much sense to me. I felt a bit like a fish out of water. I wanted to do something more of my own, take back more control, and manage my own time. So quite early on, I set out to create my own business. But the problem was that I didn't know which business to start. I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do. And at that time, I was actually still in South Africa. That's where this photo was taken. That's my dog Pumbaa, by the way. But at that point, I started testing different business models. And one of them, actually, the first one I started was an offline business. It was in the food delivery space. And shortly after that actually failed, I moved online. And that's where online began for me. And I started off actually copywriting. But the issue I found there was the time equals money equation was just very limiting. You had to be working to be earning. So I moved further and actually started Amazon Associates, which some of you might know. It's another way to make money with Amazon, but it's in affiliate marketing other people's FBA products, other people's Amazon products. But the issue there was margin. So finally, the question that got me into FBA was really, why could I not sell that end product? Instead of promoting these other sellers' products, what about actually manufacturing better products? And that's where I found the most concrete business model, if that makes sense. It just made the most sense in terms of having a physical product which others would desire and wish to purchase. So from that point on, that's what I focused on. And I built private label brands in Europe first, in fact, because I started from South Africa. There were a couple of challenges with selling straight into the US. As Seth, you'll probably recall quite a few back and forth and trying to get set up. But I began in Europe and then moved to North America. So actually the reverse of what most sellers watching this might be doing, starting in North America and then going to Europe. But that's how basically I began with FBA. And up to this point, I actually think it might be closer to 1,000, but we don't have records.
That when it's on the slide, like it's got to be more than 500 by now.
But we don't have like records. I remember we used to keep it in like an Excel sheet back then. One time was a lot smaller. But provable, I've helped over 500 sellers one-on-one. So that's like a 30 or 60-minute session. And that has given me a huge amount of valuable insight also for my own business. But I've gathered a lot of intel on that from sellers starting businesses from all different parts of the world, facing all different problems. So I'm also very grateful for that. But have insight for different starting points wherever you might be starting from today. And I was lucky enough that Seth Kniep offered me a position to come onto the Just One Dime team as a Just One Dime coach. And one of the reasons I accepted that was because by that point, I had been sharing a bit about my journey, and other members had found that helpful, the knowledge and my teaching style, which I found surprising because I hadn't ever taught before. So I took that with both hands and started working on that and becoming a better teacher. And that's also transitioned into content development. So I help Seth a lot with course creation. We all put our heads together and actually create the course content within Just One Dime, which is even more detailed than what we'll go into today. But that is my current position with Just One Dime. So similar like Seth, I'm a seller first. That's what I focus on first, and then coaching. And that really leads into the next point well in terms of doing, learning, and sharing. So I'll implement and then succeed or fail. I've had failed products. Seth has had failed products. Every seller, including you, even if you're just starting today, you will have a failed product, and that's part of the process. So just implementing, succeeding or failing, but learning from that and then sharing that knowledge with others. And that's brings me pretty much to today.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And everyone, thank you for giving us a chance to introduce ourselves. I know for those of you guys who know us already, like, yeah, we know you, but some of you guys are new, and I want you to know who is teaching you. And that I love what you have here on the slide. See everyone where it says do, learn, share. The reason I love that is because that's exactly the model of Just One Dime. I know Amazon, I know Dan's Amazon sales and his profit margins. I know that for every single coach. We vet them. If a coach cannot provide that, they can't be a coach. They have to be succeeding themselves before they teach others. And that is so important today because it's easy to hide behind the safety of the internet and get really good at marketing something, but not have content. And just for a moment, I want to mention Profit Business Gurus and Profit, Prophet. This guy is not only a former student of Just One Dime, but an extremely successful Amazon seller. He taught for our sourcing trip with Dan this last November. He has a YouTube channel as well as Dan, and I strongly encourage you guys to subscribe to both. Profit Business Guru, feel free to drop your link there, Profit Business Guru, into the chat, because I would love for people to see the latest video you did. I haven't seen it yet, but he texted me about it this morning, and I've already seen a lot of good comments about it. This is what I love about Just One Dime. It is a community of genuine people who struggle in all sorts of ways. We're human. We're not going to try to pretend, but we're also going to show you the opportunity and teach you how to succeed. We're just teaching you from our life. Simple as that, and it's really fun. Okay. The next thing we're going to cover is Amazon FBA for me? Then we'll get super tactical. The reason I'm starting with this is I see a lot of chats in here as well. And there are people saying, hey, how do I know if this is the business for me? And what they'll do is they'll go buy a course that's a recycled crap. And then they go, oh, this is how to do it. And then they waste $3, $4, $5, $10,000, and they get discouraged and they conclude, I'm not cut out to be an entrepreneur. No, not necessarily. Maybe you bought a crappy course from someone who was really good at marketing it, but wasn't honest with you. And so I want to challenge everyone here to ask yourself this question. And to know the answer, you're just going to ask yourself a very simple question. And here it is. How badly do you want it? 2020 is almost here, guys. We have what? Just a few days left? 2020 is almost here. What are you going to do in 2020? How badly do you want to be able to take your family to ice cream while your sales keep selling on Amazon? How badly would you like to be able to literally travel the world while you work from your laptop? Because that's exactly what we get to do. I spent a lot of, I'll just give you an example. From mid-May, March, April, yes, from mid-May to mid-July, Dan, tell everyone where we're going to be. This is just a beautiful example, you guys.
We'll be in China. So we're going to be in Yiwu, China. It's actually where we hold the sourcing trip. And I don't know how much detail you want me to go into.
Yeah, that's great. Good. Like, but we're going to be doing life there, learning Chinese. learning suppliers, having fun, hanging out with friends and family while we sell on Amazon in China. So when I say that, I don't say it because it sounds cool. My question to you is just remove all the craptaculous claims out there and just ask yourself this question: how badly do you really want it? Because becoming an Amazon seller entrepreneur is not for everyone. It really isn't. In fact, if it was, then there would be no staff of companies. A lot of companies wouldn't even make it. Not everyone is supposed to be an Amazon seller and entrepreneur. However, I do believe everyone can change their life. And let me explain what I mean. One of my favorite stories is about a young entrepreneur. He goes to this older, wiser, seasoned, very successful gentleman. And he says, will you please teach me how to succeed? And the man's response is, no. And he's like, no, you don't understand. I really want it. He's like, no, you don't. He's like, no, I really need you to teach me. Please show me how to succeed. I'll do anything. And the older, wiser gentleman says, really? You will? And he says, yes, I will. He says, okay, I want you to meet me at 5:30 in the morning tomorrow at the seaside. Bright and early, 5:30 in the morning, the young gentleman shows up and he notices that the older, wiser gentleman is standing about waist deep. He's waded out into the water, waist deep in the water. And he looks and he sees the young man and he says, come stand next to me. So the young man wades into the water and stands next to the older gentleman. And without warning, the older gentleman grabs him by the shoulders, shoves him under the water, and holds him under the water. And the young man's trying everything he can to get air. And he's struggling, but the old man won't let go. And he keeps holding him there. And he's struggling. He's like, I'm going to die. What's happening? This guy's a murderer. This is horrible. And he still holds him down. And he continues to struggle. And he gets to a point where the young man begins to think, is this my last day? What have I done? And finally, the older gentleman brings him out of the water. And the young man gasps for air. And the old man says, why did you want to get out of the water? What was the one thing on your mind? And the young man's gasping. He's like, I just wanted to breathe. And the old man says, until you want success as badly as you want to breathe, you are not ready for becoming an entrepreneur. You have to want it badly. In my experience as the leader of Just One Dime over several years now, having coached, if you include the YouTube, hundreds of thousands of people and thousands of students who are members of our programs, the one thing I have seen, the one thing that has caused anyone not to succeed, and I promise you, not all of them are successful. If anyone tells you that, they're lying. It's impossible to make everyone successful. In fact, I can't even make anyone successful, but not everyone's going to succeed. But the one thing I found for everyone who hasn't succeeded is this one thing. They weren't wanting it badly enough. It's never going to be an issue of, do I have enough knowledge? Do I have enough tactics? Do I have enough money? Was I born in a really difficult place? I know those things do affect you, and I'm not being cold-hearted, but I can promise you this, and I know this from my life, and Dan can tell you this from his life. In fact, Dan is a living example of this. Patrick, Profit Business Guru, he's an example of this, you guys. Bottom line, the issue will always go back to your desire. Don't think if you buy some course and it says, here's 3 secrets to winning and succeeding. Oh, it's going to be easy. No, it's not. It's going to be hard. You're going to have to change as a person. You're going to have to get stronger and deeper, and it's not going to be easy. It will be hard. And sometimes a lot of things inside have to die before your business and new life can live. Just like a baby plant or a baby tree, that seed has to deteriorate and die before it can spring to life. So again, I challenge you with this question. In fact, don't even watch the rest of this unless you believe you want it as badly as you want air. And if you do, yeah, you absolutely can. And I believe you will succeed. Whether it takes you 18 months, 3 months, a year, 2 months, I don't care. Everyone's track is different. The only issue is, what do you want in your heart? Do you want it that bad? I had to get pushed to a point where I was so fed up with the political BS and butt kissing that happened at my company, working the 9-to-5 death by paycheck slavery, that I finally turned to my wife and I said, I'm done. That's it. We are building a new life. I was angry and in a good way. And I decided to go do something different. And I decided to start learning. So I walked around feeling really dumb, doubling a little tiny dime with this idea that I could someday give other people hope and say, I changed my life by believing in a simple 10 cents dime. And wasn't it for God's grace and mercy in my life and my choice to believe I can make this happen, I would not be standing here before you today. So again, I'm going to say this to everyone. Do you want it badly enough? Because if you don't watch the rest of this. I will waste your time. But if you want it and you're ready, we will bring you the knowledge, but you have to bring the motivation. Go for it, Dan.
So how do I set up my Amazon business and store? And you're going to need at least 6 pieces of info. And sometimes this can be expanded, especially if perhaps you're applying from a far-flung country. But for today, we're going to keep it a bit simpler. If you are, for example, based in the US looking to sell on Amazon, you're going to need 6 pieces of info: your social security number, bank account, mailing address, email address, a form of ID, and that could be your driver's license or passport, and then utility bill, and that's going to prove address. This is also the link at which you can apply to sell as well, if you want to type that in to your browser. And then a few pro tips. Number one, just to streamline that process, you can start as a sole proprietor on your Seller Central account, and then later you simply upgrade that account to an LLC. So that's quite an easy route that a lot of sellers enjoy, with perhaps a little less risk in terms of not setting up the LLC directly in the beginning. Number two, you get what's called an individual seller account and a professional seller account. And we recommend just going directly with a professional account because, number one, that has way more features in it. If you've seen the Seller Central dashboard, actually Seth shared his screen showing the Seller Central dashboard a second ago. The Pro account actually has far more features within it than the individual. So that's one benefit. But number two, the professional account, it makes sense to upgrade to a professional account anyway after you're doing a certain amount of units per month, because the individual account has a closing fee per item. So Pro account from the beginning. And thirdly, Amazon is going to ask you for more info. I cannot tell you how many times I've gone through that specific part of the process. But when they do, just respond as promptly as you can with that extra info, and they will process that information. And that's the fastest way that you'll get through that account creation and get ready to sell.
One thing I'll add, and this is really good, and thank you, Dan. The reason we say start as a sole proprietor, which means your business is your social security, they're combined, they're one and the same. You are the business. There's no separation between that and a separate entity, unless you become an LLC or a C Corp, for example. The reason we recommend that is a lot of people have found their accounts getting suspended by Amazon really quickly because maybe they put in the wrong address, they typed in the wrong number, they used a debit card that had one letter off on the, like a middle initial versus not one. It's really easy for Amazon's system to flag it because they're set up to protect themselves against fraudulent sellers. And so they've automated it. The unfortunate thing is a lot of times the innocent get swept away with the guilty. So to prevent that, what we have found by experience is if you start as a sole proprietor, it's easier to get through. Then later, about maybe after 90 days of successfully selling, it's very easy to upgrade to an LLC for liability reasons. When you're an LLC, all your benefits are the same on Amazon, but your liability is better because if for some reason someone came along and tried to sue you, they can only sue the LLC, not you as a person. I mean, they still can, but you wouldn't be liable personally. That's just one example of the many advantages. And then of course, if you become an S Corp or a C Corp, you will have tax savings and tax advantages if you do it right. And so I've started with sole proprietorships. I have LLCs, I have S Corps, I have C Corps. I think the only one I don't have right now is a B Corp. So this is really important. But to keep it simple, you just want to get in, start with that social security number as a sole proprietor. Okay, the next question, and by the way, guys, the way we put this together is we took the top most important questions we have found that you guys have been asking, and we put it all into one. So some of it is super basic, like what we just did, and some of it will be far more advanced. Wait till we get to the PPC, which I can't wait for. How much money do I need to launch my first product on Amazon? Sell products with a minimum purchase price of $25 which have a ballpark landed cost of $7. This is what we recommend for two reasons. Number one, if it's only $25, or I'm sorry, if it's at least $25, your chances of being profitable are much greater, because at some point, the lower the retail price, the price you're selling it for on Amazon, the fees do not go down proportionately. At some point, like let's say your product is $15, a much greater percentage of the fees are using up that cost than if it's 25. In fact, we have found sometimes selling products that cost 50, 60, even over $100 give you an extreme advantage. And I'm telling you guys exactly what is working for us in our multiple Amazon stores. When we say landed cost, we mean the cost of the per unit and the shipping. Now, if you're limited on funds, you're trying to get started, you could go for a landed cost of $7. Your first order is going to be $500, which puts you at $3,500 to get started. Now, that is not the only cost of running a business. However, once you start, you can start making a profit. And the way I did it in the old days, and I say old days, it really wasn't that long ago, was first Amazon store was opened, I believe it was end of 2014. It was right around that time. Once you start selling, you're going to notice that you start making a profit if you're doing it right. And that profit can be used to pay for an LLC or to pay for better pictures, and you bootstrap it. For the first several months, I put all of my profits back into the business because it helped the business to grow faster, which means long-term, I'll be more profitable.
So how do I find a product that will make a lot of money on Amazon? This is probably the most common question.
Yeah.
And we're going to run through a couple of points here that are very important, especially going into 2020. So again, these are actually very recent findings, some of them, or they've been adjusted based on current findings. So just take cognizance of these and apply it or add it to your current criteria as you search in 2020. The first thing is price points. Price points are not spoken of enough. In fact, Seth touched on this now. However, we recommend between $25 and all the way up to $125. But the major reason for that is that you have certain costs in this business model which do not flex, or flex, but only flex somewhat. So FBA fees is a really good example. If you're selling a box of budget stationery, but the box's size and weight is exactly the same as selling a box of a, let's say, high-end Bluetooth speaker. The Bluetooth speaker you can sell for way more than the stationery. However, they have the exact same FBA fee. And so you can see the higher priced item is leveraging that fee far more. And there's multiple examples of that throughout the business, including things like shipping, things like PPC. However, the higher you get that price point, usually the more profit you are going to see. And above 25 is going to allow you to get to that 40% profit margin before considering PPC. That's what you're aiming for. And in terms of demand, you do want to look for demand so that you can actually turn that inventory. So when you're looking at a market, look at those competitors and make sure they're doing at least 300 sales per month. If it's less than that, you're not going to turn the inventory quick enough. But 300 a month is a good sign. Of course, you'll find some markets with 3,000 per month with the top sellers, but 300 a month, good minimum. Supply or competition, however you want to name that. But what you're looking for is few competitors. Maybe you've found an up and coming market. They're doing 300 units a month. You're over $25, but there's few competitors. That is a good option. Another good option is you have low review count competitors selling well. Maybe this market's been around a bit longer, but you can see some competitors in there who have, let's say, 15 or even 32 reviews. They have lower review counts. They are selling as well, or maybe even outselling the competitors with a lot of reviews. That's a good sign. And the main reason they would be able to do that is product differentiation. They're selling a better version, and you too can take a piece of that market by coming in and out differentiating the others. So either you're looking for a low competition area or lower reviews selling well. It gives you an indication of market entry. It tells you you could enter this market. So just always keep that in mind. When you see a low review listing selling well, think about how your listing would be performing there with the same number of reviews. Let's say just 13 reviews. Number 4 is betterment. So bettering the product that you're looking to manufacture. Here, of course, you want to improve product performance. If you cannot improve product performance, maybe that market has a problem. Maybe that product has an inherent problem that no other sellers have fixed yet, and you can come in and fix that problem. But you're looking to improve products. I cannot stress this one enough. In terms of the Amazon model, a few years ago, you could source the same thing and sell that same thing. Nowadays, you cannot do that. So we've moved almost from private label to advanced private label. You have to make products better. That's the way you're going to have sustainable sales. So very important. And a last touch on this one is if you can improve the product visually, that is always better than a non-visual improvement in most cases with our model. Because remember, when people are purchasing your products from Amazon, it's a visual environment. So if your main image shows a visual difference, visual value addition, that's what you're looking to do. So even when vetting products, if you can improve 2 products, the next thing you would consider is which one can I visually represent my difference of? Which one can I show more value with? So that's very key as well, because people aren't walking into a store, picking up the items, etc. You have to have a high impact main image. You have to attract attention. And search terms. So this one, number 5 here, is also a lesser spoken of point. But the more keywords customers actually use to find the product, the better. So one example is a calculator. A calculator, how many ways, Seth, would you search for this product?
Good question. Calculator, I would probably do calculus calculator, accounting calculator, simple calculator. Those are 3 ideas that come to my mind depending on the industries. I just represented 3 different industries by those 3 different customer needs based on those keywords.
So you can see how it's actually quite tough to think of other keywords for that. It's a really small pool. And if you think a bit ahead of the process, even though you're still with product research here, how expensive do you think PPC is going to be on the main keyword, on calculator? It's going to be extremely expensive because that's where everyone wants to rank. That's where the main traffic is.
Right.
But with other product types, there's often multiple ways to find that product. People use different search terms just to find the same solution. And that's powerful for you because it gives you way more areas on Amazon to rank and gain awareness for your product, but it also reduces that ad spend a lot because people are spreading out their PPC budgets. It's not all on 1 or 2 main keywords.
Right. Yep.
And moat. So this is the last one here, which is a newer one as well, but introducing sustainable competitive advantage. And this involves you actually creating a bit of a moat around whatever you do. And that, as you guys know, a moat protects like a castle. And it's the same principle here. If you build something into your product or you do something with this product that is very difficult for other sellers to do or copy, that's going to give you longevity with the product. It's going to give you sustainability. So, for example, sourcing a product from somewhere that is very, very difficult for others to source from.
Yeah.
If others can't even find it, you have drastically improved that head start you have on the market, or perhaps you literally have exclusivity on that product variant, on that bettered product.
Yeah.
So also important just to think about. That's just one example of doing that.
Something really cool that members get is people who are members of Just One Dime, the FBA Mastery membership. We have staff in China. Many of you guys have met them when you went to China with us on the sourcing trip, and they actually find suppliers for you, up to 4 suppliers. And the vast majority of the time, those suppliers are not even Alibaba. Often they get them from 1688 or from the Yiwu marketplace. And the reason they do that is so that it makes it difficult if you have a really unique product. Some other Amazon seller can't just go find an Alibaba, buy it, make theirs better, and start copying you. It really, really helps. So when you're when you differentiate at the sourcing level, it gives you an unbelievable advantage. How do I get my product built and shipped to Amazon's fulfillment centers? And as we go through this, you guys are going to notice each question, as a general rule, will get a little more advanced than the last one. The first thing you're going to do, as Dana just mentioned, is you're going to find a supplier. You're going to negotiate and contract with them. Now, because Alibaba has a massive number of suppliers, you can find great suppliers on there. And we teach this and we do this. So we're not against getting suppliers from Alibaba. There are ways to find some. I'll just give you an example. One of our coaches, Emily, who's extremely successful on Amazon, she was looking for a supplier and she went down to I forget, it was page 16 or 17 before she found the right one. No one has hijacked her at all. No one's actually been able to compete with her at that level because she did such a good job at finding a little gem of a supplier that no one else could find. And therefore her product really stands out from the rest of the competition. But you want to find a supplier that could be through 1688, which in that case, because it's all written in Chinese and Google Translate will not translate it accurately for you, you need an agent in China, which is why we have staff in China that do this for us and for our members. Or you go to Alibaba and use criteria to filter it down to a really specific supplier to do this for you, or you do it in Europe or the West, wherever you are. And in that negotiation, you do that contract, you're going to agree as a general rule to pay them 30% first. Now, a lot of Amazon sellers say, Seth, I'm scared. I don't want to wire transfer. Let's just say the order is for $1,000. I don't want to send $300 to a supplier I've never met face-to-face. I get that. I know it's a little nerve-wracking at first, but please understand the first time I did it, I was scared. I'm sure Dan was the first time he did it. But this is what those suppliers do all day long. For them, this is just regular. And if they continue to try to con people, they would eventually go out of business. There are very, very many legitimate suppliers, not just in China, but in Mexico, in India, in South Korea, in the Philippines. There's a lot of suppliers everywhere you can find. What you want to do is realize when you wire money to them, you can't get that money back. In almost every situation, especially if it is an international wire, it is called T/T on Alibaba. It means telegraphic transfer. You can't get the money back. But if you sent them 300 and you still owe them 700, chances are they're probably going to produce the product for you so they get the remaining of their payment. And that's the reason it's okay for your first payment to be a wire transfer. And if you're really nervous about it, you can use something called Alibaba Trade Assurance, which ensures that you are covered in case the supplier tries to con you. That contract you fill out if you are specific in exactly what you want. You don't just say, well, I want it to be green. No, you need to give them the Pantone code. You don't just say, I want it to be steel. Or, you need to say it's got to be 310 stainless steel. See the difference? You don't just say cotton. It has to be organic cotton. You have to be very specific, because the more specific you are, the more leverage you have in case they turned out to produce your product and maybe innocently something went wrong, or maybe the material wasn't the same quality you expected. Well, what you wrote in the contract that they agreed to via Alibaba's trade assurance program protects you. And by experience, I can tell you it works, but you have to be specific in that contract. Now, some of you guys have used PayPal. That's perfectly fine as well. If there's an issue, you can open a case, but I prefer wire transfers because I can do it from my computer and it's very simple and easy. List the product on Amazon. So while the supplier is building your product, you don't wait. You list it right now. And this way, it gives you a chance to pass any HAZMAT, which stands for Hazardous Materials Reviews, and then you're going to convert it over to FBA. The idea is you list the product as FBM, you wait, see if there's no flags, and I'll give you a little hack, by the way. If you remove any HAZMAT type comments, like anything that could get it flagged for that, and wait a couple weeks and it doesn't get flagged, then you later come back and add them, a lot of times that listing will get in under the radar without having to go through a HAZMAT process. But even if you do, it's not the end of the world. You have two options. One is you fill out what's called an MSDS. It's a material safety data sheet, and you submit that to Amazon, and that data sheet comes from the factory. All it is just a list of the actual materials your product was built out of. Want to know a way to find out quickly if your factory is really a factory or a trading company? And by the way, for those of you guys who don't know, a trading company is like a middleman. They find a factory for you, but a lot of times they don't tell you that. Just ask them for the MSDS sheet. If they can't get it to you quickly, then they're not the factory. But if they can get it to you quickly, they probably are, because by law, they have to have those even in China. Then you convert your listing to Fulfilled by Amazon and you're ready to go. Again, you want, before you pay the remaining 70%, you want to make sure you've passed all certifications, HAZMAT, if there's any issue. And majority of products aren't going to have this on Amazon, but we're teaching you from experience. If it's a child's product, if it's a supplement, if it's something that has any kind of liquid in it or aerosol, that's where you have to go through. Or if it's electronics, because there's a fire hazard, you have to get certain certifications to get through that. And just for you guys' information, just this little line alone, we have an entire lesson on that alone, teaching you what to do in our membership. Because we're not going to give all the best stuff to everyone publicly. Our members get the best. Next, you're going to create a shipping plan. You do this from your Seller Central account. You're going to send in what are called FN SKU and carton labels to the supplier. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. If your product is a coffee mug and you have packaging over it, you can actually have the FNSKU code printed onto the package. So you never actually have to print the label yourself or pay Amazon 20 cents per item to print it. You just have them put it onto the packaging itself. And you send the labels to your supplier. They slap them onto the boxes and they send it directly to Amazon's fulfillment center for you. You never even touch the product. One strong recommendation is get a product inspection before you pay your final 700 or 70%. And that's so important, because if for some reason they did something wrong, you pay, usually it's like $200, $250, $300, it depends. And you tell that inspection company, here's exactly what I want. This is something Just One Dime. That's what our staff also does that as well for members if they want it, but it is an additional cost. They go inspect it for you, and you tell them, look for this lever, or look if it leaks, or check to make sure this screws on tight. And if there's anything wrong, they send you back a full report, and then you can say to the supplier, hey, I'm not giving you the remaining 70% until you fix what we agreed on. And that also gives you a lot of leverage as well. Once your products are inspected and you pay the final 70%, you're going to have the freight forwarder or the supplier ship to the fulfillment center. Now, a lot of newbies like, okay, wait, how do I know if it's a good supplier? Freight forwarder. What if they're cheating me? What if the price is too high or too low? Let me just tell you, as a general rule of thumb, it's hard to cheat on shipping because it's very public knowledge. If you go and get 3 different quotes and they're all within 10%, probably no one's cheating you. The shipping rates are kind of like the stock market. They go up and down, kind of like currency internationally, based on where the market is. Like, for example, right now, shipping rates are really high. They're about to drop like crazy in the next couple of weeks because January is almost here and the crazy season of December is almost over. Either way, sometimes your supplier they have a good freight forwarding contact for you, and sometimes you find a freight forwarder yourself. Again, we have a fulfillment service that we opened up for our Just One Dime members where we can actually provide this for members as well. And then you're going to mark as shipped in the shipping plan on Seller Central. You're going to wait for the tracking numbers and get ready for launch. One little pro tip on here. When you go in and decide to have them shipped, if you trust this supplier, do you know you can give them access to your Seller Central account? Limited access. So they can't go in there and do any damage. They can't see like your personal brands and all that, or whatever it is you don't want them to see, or maybe your sales or whatever. You can actually give them limited access so they can log in. And some of them know how to do this, our staff do, they can actually create the entire shipment plan for you before shipping it out, which is really, really nice. I want to take a moment, just a little break, to talk about Brett. He's a Just One Dime student. He's also now a Just One Dime coach. And the reason I love talking about Brett is not only because he's extremely successful, he is like one of the most humble, cool dudes you will ever meet, like a total servant. He just sent this to me. Those of you guys on the Just Onetime Facebook page, you saw this. He took a screenshot and showed his sales, 134,368 his last 6 months sorry, I don't know why it says at month, on Amazon at 42% margin. That's just the last 6 months. He was also offered a $16.5 million fee to buy a patent he created. An automotive company was so impressed with the patent that they decided, hey, we want to buy that from him. And he said no. Again, if you want to verify this, go find him. His last name is George. Go find him on Facebook, message him right now. Hey, is this true? He's not being paid for this. He just offered this information, but this is just one example of a Just Onetime student. I literally screenshotted this morning from the Just Onetime Facebook page. Here you can see it right here. Boom, 134,000. You can see the dates from 6/1 to 12/20, 134,000 in the last half a year at 42% profit margin. It's the result of following the steps and staying consistent. There's no reason you can't do this too. Will it be easy? Heck no. Can you do it? Yes, you can. All right, back to you, Dan.
Perfect. So the next big question we often get is how do I protect my product from hijackers and competitors? You've probably heard that term hijacker. That's when another seller actually comes onto your listing and they start selling under your listing, which you put so much effort into to that point. Listing the product for the first time, building up reviews and the listing images and copy and bullet points. And they come in and start selling on that same listing, often dropping the price just below you so they can win the buy box, that one-click checkout on Amazon. Obviously, that really impacts your sales. So this is a good question. How do you protect your product from that happening? And the first thing is building a differentiated offering. Imagine you're a hijacker for a second and other sellers are selling water bottles. What's going to be easier for you to do? To sell under the plain water bottle, which is really easy for you to go source, or the water bottle which comes with its own cleaning kit and perhaps some type of carrying case for hiking or something like that. That's going to be much more difficult for you to copy. So differentiation, absolutely key. That's going to get rid of 90% of hijackers. And the second point on this is offering non-tangible assets or intangible assets. These are things like product warranties or phone support. And remember, Amazon's rule on this, under their terms of service, a product sold through Amazon, sold off of a listing on Amazon, has to match exactly what is on that listing. So if that listing offers a warranty or phone support, the seller of the item fulfilling through that listing has to offer those things. And since you have created that warranty and you're the manufacturer of that brand, legally, they cannot offer that warranty. They are not the manufacturer. Additionally, phone support, that's going to be almost impossible for them to do. So these are intangible things you can build into the product to really just make your listing far less attractive to hijackers. Also, in the event you do have a hijacker, Amazon takes us very, very seriously. So if you can prove they cannot offer the warranty or phone support, that gives you a leg to stand on in Amazon's eyes, and they will take faster action for you to remove that seller who cannot fulfill the promise of that listing. Next is you can actually copyright your images and description. So all the copy, all the images, and by nature, your works, your creative works are copyrighted. If you create something yourself, it is naturally copyrighted. But in the US, you can take this a step further and actually file that with I believe it's USPTO as well, just like trademarks. And so by having a registration number of that, you can, again, in the case you have hijackers, Amazon's going to take even further action. So that's just an extra step you can also take here.
Yeah.
Even more importantly is trademarking your brand. And this is probably the biggest advantage you can give yourself going into 2020. I worked it out the other day, and it's something like overall 2.6% of sellers actually have registered a brand with Amazon. So if you think about how minuscule that number is for people who've actually gone ahead and gone through that and done that, it's tiny. It might seem like everyone's doing this, but that is one of the biggest things you can give yourself in terms of advantages, not only for protecting yourself from hijackers. They can't legally manufacture anything with your trademark on it. And secondarily is brand registry. Seth, do you have any points on that one?
What I was going to say, actually, back to what you said about the warranty and the phone support, which I love, is, guys, when someone starts to try to sell your product, like the same exact product on your listing, and you already claim a warranty or phone support or replacement service or recall, could be anything intangible. By law, Amazon has to honor that because they aren't you. They're not your company. The reason Amazon allows it is they assume that the hijacker went to Walmart or Target, found it at a discount, your product, bought it, and decided to resell it, which you can legally do. There's nothing wrong with reselling someone else's product. You can go buy a pair of Nikes and resell it to your neighbor. That's not illegal. But as soon as you try to sell something that has a warranty, and you're selling on a listing that says it has a warranty. In other words, if I'm Bobby McGee and I go to Dan's listing and try to sell Dan's product, but his product claims a warranty, I have to fulfill everything the listing says. Well, I can't provide the warranty. I can't make up my own because I'm not Dan's company. Therefore, Dan has a lot of power to simply submit what's called a copy infringement form on Amazon and get me removed quickly.
Yes. And then the other big benefit of trademarking is brand registry. Once you are brand registered, there is a program called the Amazon Transparency Program, and it allows you to actually create little codes, and those go onto every single product. They are scanned when your inventory enters the warehouse. If a box arrives at the warehouse without those transparency codes, it will never reach the customers. So it's like a foolproof system, once brand registered, that you can take advantage of as well. Yeah. Only your products with your real that have really been manufactured by you, because you only have those transparency codes, only those will be made for sale through that listing.
Yeah. Here's a little pro tip to add to that too. If you guys are brand registered and you get a GS1 code from GS1 for your UPC code, which you have to have in order to list the product. If you list it, you cannot go back later and change that code. I know some people, they like to do a test, which is smart. They'll buy the codes off eBay, create the listing. You have to have the code to create the listing because they're really cheap on eBay. So they'll buy it, create the listing, and wait to see if there's any issues. If for some reason they decided, oh my goodness, I didn't realize I need to get this special certification, I don't want to do that, they can back out easily. Or they can just, if they do like it, they can switch it out for a more permanent code from GS1, a more dependable code. But once you're brand registered, you can't change the code. You have to create a new listing. So just keep that in mind. All right. How do I get my Amazon listing showing up when shoppers search for it? This is another way of saying, how do I make my product discoverable, or how do I get good ranking? There are two primary ways to get your offering in front of the eyes of shoppers on Amazon. And please remember, Amazon shoppers buy with their eyes. Number one, you pay for the position using PPC advertising. This is something you definitely want to do in the beginning, because when you first launch a product, there's no organic ranking. Organic means if I go to Amazon and you're selling this super cool Swedish coffee mug and I search Swedish coffee mug, your listing will show up on page 1,233 because it has no ranking yet. It's at the very end. It hasn't been selling yet. So in order to jumpstart and get past those 1,233 competitors and to get all the way to the top, you can pay to have Amazon push your listing out there as an ad anytime someone searches Swedish coffee mug. And what's beautiful about this is if it converts well, which we'll talk about, then you get the next part. You start ranking organically for that position, which means the more sales you make for that keyword, Amazon begins to move your offering upward on the search results page. In other words, it gets higher and higher. Instead of page 100, it's now on page 90, then 20, then 10, and then finally page 1, and someday in the top 3 spots. And I'm very proud to say that many of our students are in one of the top 3 spots organically, some of them paying nothing in PPC ads now because they followed the steps and were consistent. But your goal is to rank near the top of page 1 for your product's main keywords. So again, you do it first artificially through ads. Okay, now let's just say 100 people see that ad. You want a good conversion. As a general rule of thumb, anything between 20% up to 40 is really good conversion. Let's just say 30 out of 100 people, 30 people who search Swedish coffee mug and see your ad, buy it. Okay, if your listing and photo was done really well, that means it's going to convert. That means it's now getting organic ranking. And every time someone buys it, the organic ranking gets stronger and stronger.
And I just want to touch on that really quick because I think it's a very good point, Seth, in terms of organic and sponsored ranking. But if you can imagine your organic ranking when you begin is on, say, page 6, that's your organic ranking. Everyone has an organic ranking. But if you begin running PPC ads, you could put that at the top of page 1, even though your organic ranking's on 6.
Right.
So in essence, you have 2 listings. This looks like 2 listings. And that can be a bit confusing if you don't know the difference between those 2. But you're paying to put this one at the top and this one staying on 6 organic.
Yeah.
But every time, say again, Seth.
Let me add one thing to that too. This is so good. Something else, you guys, that Dan and I have talked about too, is if your listing is showing up via PPC ads and it's showing up organically on the same page. At first, that might seem redundant, but here's what's amazing. When people see something more often, they just tend to buy it more often. So what you're doing is you begin to monopolize that first page and you just get a greater conversion. So what used to be 30% can actually move to 35, 40, sometimes 50% conversion because you're showing up all over the place. And now that's when your product really starts taking off. And you're like, oh my goodness, look at my Seller Central, $1,000. That's really good. Back to you, man.
Sure. Yeah. Good point of taking up more positions. That also blocks someone else from taking that position.
Exactly.
But every single time your sponsored ad, say on page 1, makes a sale, that organic ranking on page 6 is going to move up. So the more sales you make here at the top with PPC, that organic ranking is going to keep going until it too is on page 1. And that's what you want to work toward. Correct. But PPC in the beginning can be quite expensive, but you really want to rank at the top of those search results. Yeah. So the next question here is, how do I get Amazon shoppers to start buying my product? And here we're speaking a lot about click-through rate and also conversion rate. And you need to increase both. So out of everyone typing in that keyword for your product, how many of them actually click into your listing? That's click-through rate. And conversion rate is of all those who already clicked on your listing, how many of them buy? So you want to increase these in a couple of the following ways. The first thing is you want to have this listing at the top of results. You have to have it at the top of keyword results. So if you're selling, for example, calculator, and please do not sell calculators, but if you are,
we'll sell calculators now.
you have to put this at the top of the page for calculator. You've got to have awareness. Without awareness, nothing is going to happen. So that's very important, being at the top of results. And over time, remember, organically being at the top. Number 2 is have an incredibly intriguing and value emphasizing main image. The main image is one of the most underutilized assets for a lot of sellers on Amazon.
Yeah.
This is the key. That is the cornerstone of everything you're doing. It's a visual environment, so use that main image. When I create a product, I usually have at least 5 split test main images because I know what I like, but I'm also checking with others. What do they like? What's going to intrigue and get the click? The
Right.
click is the next step from that awareness. We have to get the click.
Yep.
And then do you want to add to that, Seth?
No, you're good. I'm just agreeing with you, man.
Perfect. Thank you. So offering a competitive price is the next thing. And this is something you can do in the beginning with a bit of an introductory price. As many of you will know, Amazon prides itself on offering competitive prices, and shoppers on there enjoy competitive pricing. So you can start with an introductory price, and you've probably seen sellers do this. As they build reviews up, so too that price follows. So that is something you can do as well here. Coupon clippings, those little green badges that you see on the front of listings, 5% off or $5 off, definitely utilize those at least at launch. Sometimes you can profitably use them continually. The key with these, the beautiful thing with these, is they increase click-through rate a huge amount. It's like having a badge. If you imagine the bestseller badge or the Amazon Choice badge, you're giving yourself a badge.
Yeah.
But
here's something you can do too. Let's just, for example, let's say the price of your product is $30. You want to sell it for $30. Well, raise the price to $35, and then with the coupon it says 30. The cool thing is not only will it convert faster, like Dan said, but a lot of people, they'll just buy it because they see the coupon, but they won't use the coupon code. You still get your $35, which is even more than you plan on selling it for. It's just human psychology. Oh, I'm getting a deal, so they're more likely to buy it.
Yes, super financially efficient these because of that. People just don't process them. They just check out, but it's helping you with your funnel from awareness to clicks. You have their eyes only on your listing at this point.
I think it's because people are just nice. They like to give money.
We'll just leave it. We'll pay full. And then we have 2 programs which must not be confused. You have early reviewer program available to everyone. And then you have Amazon Vine program, which is available to brand registered sellers. Both of them help you gain reviews. So Amazon's actually implementing ways for you to get organic reviews. Early reviewer program will see you 5 reviews. I believe it's within 12 months. You definitely want to turn that on before your listing has too many reviews to turn that on. And the same with Amazon Vine. Amazon Vine only being for brand registered and allowing you to get up to 30 reviews. And that's with the Vine Voices, the best Amazon reviewers on the platform. So with Amazon,
guys, don't try to incentivize reviews. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. Amazon sues companies out there. There's a lot. There's still, I can't believe it, and there's still a lot of Facebook groups out there that I get emails almost every day saying, hey, I'll send you this if you review the product for me. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. There are no shortcuts to success. It might work for a while, but eventually catches up with you.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Because the thing with those is if you do it, and if you do it, you will build up those reviews, but it costs a huge amount of money to actually get those reviews. And then what happens is if you're not very careful with review ratios, that listing will be stripped of all those reviews, and way worse, it won't be able to get any reviews because you've broken that policy. So really not worth it at all.
Yeah.
And lastly is building a powerful review garnering system. And this is something we've also been optimizing over the years, but you use things like gifting, inserts, and follow-up, and you really build in customer experience. And this is where we go a bit more into branding and really building out more of a user experience rather than just turning products on Amazon. You're building something around this product as well, after sales, etc. And oh yes, there is one more here. Optimize your on listing. So on listing aspects are your images on the listing, your bullet points, description. You want to optimize those. Remember the main image being so important. The images on the listing are as important for conversion rate though. We already got the click. Conversion rate is going to be based a lot on this. And once you're brand registered, remember, you don't have to use that HTML description. You can use A+ content, which is also called enhanced brand content at the bottom of the listing, which you've probably seen. It looks really professional when you scroll down just above the reviews. You want to fill that out and make that look amazing once you're brand registered. And also use video, because once you're brand registered, you can make that last image slot a video, which of course is going to retain buyers' attention and help them make that decision quicker as well, increasing conversions and sales.
I just want to say, Dan, thank you for all the value you bring. And I just want to stop and say this. I've been reading the comments and trying to keep up with them as much as possible. And I just want to tell you guys the reason I brought coaches into my team, the reason my son is my business partner, the reason we have staff here is because I know something. There is no human way one person can have enough knowledge to effectively coach at every level on Amazon. I can't do it all by myself. And so a lot of this value and quality you're getting is coming from Dan's personal experience. It's not like I just taught him everything and he's regurgitating it. No, Dan comes up with his own content. It's absolutely amazing. So when you combine our knowledge, you're getting more than double, because a lot of times when you share ideas, that spawns a third idea that's even better than the two before it. So I just want to say thank you, Dan. And I just want to take a moment. Can you just do a real quick shout out to your YouTube channel?
Oh, yes. Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for those words. And I really enjoy working with you as well. But in terms of YouTube, I actually run a channel under my name, Dan Rogers. Rogers has a D, D-G-E-R-S. And there I share some free content similar to here as we're doing now on Seth's channel, or on the Just One Dime channel. But that's somewhere where I get a bit more creative. I share where I'm at with my business. And then, of course, inside Just One Dime, we go into far more detail. But I do enjoy just sharing there from time to time, and the free content. I know that still helps those of you not wanting to commit fully yet. Maybe you're doing this on the side. Maybe you haven't made the decision for a course yet. That is going to help you, not at the level of a course,
right?
In terms of getting you there really quickly. But I'd love to have you join me if you're interested in this type of thing. And thank you for the shout out, Seth.
Absolutely. And don't forget, that's Dan Rogers with a G. R-O-D-G. I mean, D. I did the wrong one. Yeah. Everyone knows there's a G there. R-O-D, like Rod, and then Gers, G-E-R-S. So it's amazing. And I just want to say thank you. And guys, I didn't plan this, but this is the kind of team I get to work with. And what you're getting now is very surface compared to what we teach inside our membership for our members, because they've made a commitment, investment, and we will honor that investment. And we don't forget, guys, stay to the end, because we have a very special announcement to make to those of you guys who join us in 2020. We have a lot more content to go through, by the way. I see PPC questions in here. I promise you we're going to get into those. But we have a special announcement at the end of this, so stay tuned. All right. I want to brag on Pranav, a Just One Dime student. He just posted in our Facebook group, so I had to go public about this. So first of all, a few months back, 6 months after he joined us, he did over 100,000 in 30 days at 33% profit after ads. You heard Dan say you want a minimum of 40% profit before ads. We're talking about after PPC. This is take-home pay. Now, here's what's really cool. He sells where there's less demand. Amazon India. If you guys know Amazon India well, is there anyone from India in here? People in India return things a lot, and it drives people in Europe and the US crazy. Like, we don't know how to do with this, but it's a mindset. It's like they test it out and they return it. Major returns, which is a huge challenge. So just recently, Pranav posted this, and I'm going to show you the screenshot. In the last 30 days, his revenue spiked to 122,000. So 33% of that he gets to take home as pay. And this is what he posted. And the reason I added the 8.307 million rupees is, if you go Google it right now, that's 8.307 million rupees is 122,000 116 in USD dollars. This is Pranav. This is one of our students who is out there hustling, and he's just making it happen. And he did that within 6 months. Now, I don't want you guys to get these false hopes. I know it's really popular to do that. Like, oh man, in 6 months, I'm gonna make $100,000. Hey, you might make 500, you might make 50. It doesn't matter. The question is, are you making money and growing? That's what matters. The first time I got my first check from Amazon, really wasn't a check, it was a deposit. But the first time they paid me, it was around $15. And I'll never forget, I thought, if I can do that once, I can do that 1,000,000 times. And that motivated the heck out of me. So don't look at these numbers and get discouraged. Look at them and be motivated, because there was a day when Pranav had 0 sales, when Seth had 0 sales, when Brett George had 0 sales. There was a day when we had no sales. We all had to start somewhere, guys. We came into this world naked. So let's work with what we got. Okay, how do I get my Amazon advertising PPC campaign running profitably? Now, guys, I'm going a little deep on this. I hope you enjoy it. This is going to help those of you guys who are running PPC. It stands for pay per click ads. It means promoting a listing on Amazon with money. So it's an ad, so you get more sales and ranking. Step number 1, you need to find your highly relevant keywords. Usually that's going to be 20 to 30 keywords max per listing. You shouldn't have many more than 30 keywords you're trying to stuff into a listing. If you are, it's going to be like a Christmas stocking hanging at the fireplace, and it's going to explode all over the place and make a big mess. You do not want to overdo it. 20 to 30 is good. Search the keyword on Amazon.com, and we're going to do it right now. We're going to search elves winter wool socks. So give me 1 second. Let me go over here. I'm going to try elves winter wool socks. Now let's just see what happens. Now, what I'm looking for right now is if more than 50% of the listings showing up on this page, I know that it is a highly relevant keyword for the product. So I see it here. I see one there. I see one there. So I could with confidence say that this keyword, elves winter wool socks, is a highly relevant keyword if I'm trying to sell winter wool socks with the style of elves on them. Therefore, I consider it a highly relevant keyword. There's many other ways you can find relevance. This is one of the most practical and tangible you can do. Now, if the same product populates more than 50% on the first page, it's highly relevant, which I just demonstrated. Then you're going to create a manual campaign, and I recommend starting between $30 and $50 budget per day. So praying for my blessing 27, here you go. As a general rule, I would start with that budget. Now, keep in mind, this isn't all money lost. When you make sales, you get some of that money back. But if you are planning on being profitable within the first month, you need to rethink. Realistically, it's going to take you about a month before you should even expect to start seeing profits on those sales. And let me explain why. You're going to enter, when you create this manual campaign, you're going to enter the long tail keywords as broad match. Now, what is a long tail keyword? Let me give you an example right here. Elves winter wool socks. That's a long tail keyword. Why? Because it's long. That's a simple way to put it. So if this was just 2 words, you could call it a short tail keyword. But because it's elves winter wool socks, 3 words or more, we consider it a long tail keyword. In other words, it's really specific. We're not just talking about socks, and they're not just wool, and they're not just for winter. They're actually for elves. Actually, they're not for elves. They have elves designs on them, but I like to think that they're for elves. So that's your long tail keywords as broad match. You guys already know this, right? There's broad, there's phrase, there's exact. Long tail keywords is broad match. You're going to put in your medium tail keywords as phrase match. So this could, let's just say it's a winter wool socks. That would count as a medium tail keyword. Now, most people out there do not recognize medium tail keywords as an actual word, except Seth Knee. But there's a reason I put it in there. It just makes it easier for you to understand. As a general rule, if it's 1 or 2 words, it's short tail. If it's 3 words or more, it's long tail. But to make it really specific, if you really want to focus and get very granular, let's say every keyword that has 4 words or more is a long tail. That's broad. And every keyword that has 3 words is a medium tail. That's phrase. And finally, every short tail keyword, in other words, socks, or even wool socks, just 2 words, is an exact match. Make sense so far? Okay, I'm going to continue. I'm assuming you guys got this. And I know a lot of you guys out there who are trying to sell courses are going to copy my content, but it's okay. I still love you. All right, step number 2, create a manual PPC campaign. Name it like this. Name a product - manual campaign. Now, this isn't a big deal, but I do this because it's super practical. Because when you have multiple campaigns going, it's really nice to be organized. So Elf Winter Socks, it's one of my products, and it's a manual campaign. That's the name of it. I'm budgeting $30 to $50 a day. And now, I think that was a repeat, wasn't it, Dan? Oh, it was. Sorry about that, guys. I feel like I'm going through deja vu right now. Okay, now we're on to the next step. I want you to understand why long tail keywords are entered as broad match, because a lot of people ask this question. Please tell me why. I'll tell you exactly why. Number 1, it will capture more traffic. Let's just say your long tail keyword is Elf Winter Socks. That means your listing ad can show up when Amazon shoppers search misspells of your keyword like Elf Winter Socks, because it's broad. Second, it saves you money. Because your keyword is long, it is very unlikely your product listing will show up for a non-relevant keyword. You see, if you do exact match, you're going to spend more money. Exact match is almost always more expensive than broad match, and phrase, as you probably guessed, is right in the middle. Let me give you an example. Your listing ad can show up if Amazon shoppers search this: Elf Winter Socks, Elf Winter Socks for women, or wool elf winter socks. I just gave you 3 different versions of the same thing. So because it's broad and it's a lot of words, you're going to start collecting other keywords, and you're going to go, oh my goodness, I had no idea that more women buy elf socks than men. Come to think of it, I don't know a single human man alive who likes elves on his socks, but maybe there's probably someone out there. I don't know. But there's a lot of women who like this. And so you never thought of putting that in your listing. So you go back and you add it to your listing. Well, what did I just do? I just optimized my listing to make it convert better. So out of the 100 shoppers who land on that listing, a greater percentage of them will buy, because this is a made up example, by the way, guys, don't take me seriously. Most of the time you shouldn't take me seriously. A lot of women like socks with pictures of elves on them. Step number 4. Let me explain to you why short tail keywords are entered as exact match. Here's why. You do not want your listing showing up in ads for keywords that your product does not relate to. For example, if you use a broad match for a short tail keyword like winter socks, your listing may show up when someone types in, a shopper types in cotton socks, but that's not your product. Or when someone types in face socks. Yes, it's a real thing, I promise, but that's not your product, which means when they click on your listing and discover it's not what they want, because it definitely doesn't go over their face and it's definitely not made out of cotton, it's made out of wool, you paid Amazon for them to click on something that they'll never buy. Every time an Amazon shopper clicks on your listing after searching these keywords, they are extremely unlikely to buy your product because you're not relevant. Thus, it only costs you money. Thus, exact match will protect you from this. Step number 5, when you bid, not bits, that's a cool word though. When you bid 25 cents higher than the highest competitor bid on every keyword. I'm going to say it again because a lot of people freak out when I say this. The first time I ran a PPC campaign, Dan, I was terrified. I was like, I'm not going to do that. That's crazy. I later learned over time through many mistakes and losing a lot of money. No, this is how you got to do it. You've got to be competitive, especially at the beginning. Why? If you bid too low and your product shows up on page 3, and then you go look at your keyword like, I wonder how I should optimize. Guess what? So few people saw your listing that you don't have enough data to optimize your listing, which means you're going to keep doing this for a while, not have enough data, not optimize your listing, and you promise you'll end up spending more money than if you got aggressive and said, you know what, I'm in this for the future, I'm in this for the big game, I'm going to bid higher than the highest competitor bid on every keyword because I need the data now. Now, trust me, you don't have to keep it there. This is just for the first few days. The goal here is you're trying to get these keywords to rank for your listing without spending a fortune before you know how well they will perform. So you're going to check your bids about 3 to 5 times a day for the first 3 days, and you're going to watch closely how the keywords perform. Now, here's just a simple example. You see here a keyword coffee mug. You see the match type is exact because it's a short tail. You see the lowest competitor bid right now. That means the lowest someone's bidding on this is this word coffee mug is 45 cents. Amazon recommends a nice happy medium, 78 cents. I ignore their recommendation. The highest competitor bid out there is $1.78. Well, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to put my bid at $2. Why? Because that means I'll show up on the first page. Why would you do that, Seth? Because now if 100 people see my listing and 20 of them buy, I already know the conversion of my listing. But if I do a really conservative bid like 45 cents and I show up on page 5, so many people will never see my listing. I won't have enough data to know how to optimize my listing, which means long-term, I will lose more money than I make. Again, do not be afraid to bid aggressively the first few days. I know it feels like, oh, you're ripping an organ out of my body, Seth. Come on, I worked for this money. Yes, I do too. I get that. But if you want to make money, this is how you have to set it up at the beginning to get the data to optimize your listing. And then here's the beautiful part. You begin to drop your bids over time, the more your listing ranks organically, as Dan had mentioned earlier. You know, if someone were to ask me, Seth, what is the one ultimate goal of PPC? I would say it's not to sell. No, it's not to sell my listing. It's to get my listing ranking organically. Because guess what? If my listing's ranking organically, that means it's converting well. That means it's selling. That means I'm making money without spending money on PPC, which is ultimately where everyone wants to be. Now, if 10 days later, after doing what I told you, your keyword generated, watch this, sorry about that, 10 plus sales, keep bidding. That means it's working. If it generated 5 to 10 sales, if it's not too expensive, keep bidding. But if your ACoS, which stands for advertising cost of sale, is crazy high, then lower your bid to the suggested bid. It's the only time you want to look at Amazon's suggestion, but you first need to be aggressive. And third, if you're getting under 5 sales and your ACoS is very high, again, lower your bid to the suggested bid. Now, the only time where these rules do not apply, you guys, is when you discover your keyword is not relevant. If your keyword is not relevant, the whole game is out. Like that's the first thing you have to ask the question, is this keyword relevant? You're not trying to stuff your listing with as many keywords as possible. Look, if I'm selling this mug, can you guys see it? If I'm selling this Swedish coffee mug, I would much rather just have 3 keywords like Swedish coffee mug from Sweden, Viking Swedish, land of the Vikings coffee mug. I would rather only bid for those 3 keywords than 100 other keywords that are about coffee mugs, but not specifically about Swedish coffee mugs. Why would I spend money on a word like coffee mug when there are thousands of kinds out there and a very tiny percentage of those are going to buy this? Why not put my money into the people who actually want the coffee mug? See, that's what we mean by targeted marketing, where you're really focusing on what matters. Your long-term goal, as a general rule, this depends on your margins, guys. As a general rule, if you can get your advertising cost of sale down to 20 to 30%, assuming you have a minimum 30 to 50% profit margin, that's really good. Even for a competitive keyword, that's really good. All right, back to you, Dan. Is there anything you want to add to this, brother, before we move on?
Yes, I think it's so important what you touched on in terms of bidding enough. Because there's so many schools of thoughts on this, I would really urge sellers to think about rather having less keywords and bidding really high on them and getting very good data back and then taking the next step. You have to think of this stage in the beginning as an experiment. And if you don't bid enough, and remember, the more you bid, the higher you place that ad. And you need those ads placed to the top of page 1 for those keywords. If you don't bid enough, you're leaving that variable on the table. Yes. So now when you look at that report, you're not sure if it's a problem with the keyword not being relevant, if it's a problem with the listing, or if it's that you didn't bid enough. So remove that variable and bid enough. Put that at the top of page 1. That way we get valuable insight because we know it's visible. We know it's in front of the customer. Right. Now, if they buy or don't buy, we actually have a reference point and we can look at listings or keyword relevancy. But you have to bid enough. Very, very important on that point.
what you're illustrating is the power of data. Selling online, you have to have data. If we don't have data, we don't have knowledge. If we don't have knowledge, we don't know our customer. If we don't know our customer, how can we expect them to buy something and bring value to them? That's exactly what this is. It is understanding data. All right, back to you, man.
So this question also comes up more and more frequently. Is Amazon FBA profitable? We've been speaking about ads, which can be one of your biggest profitability challenges, in fact. So what I wanted to do is outline a few things here in terms of this. So Amazon FBA is definitely profitable if it's done right. Although some products might fail, some products might have way better margins than what I'm going to show you now.
Yeah.
Each time you sell a product, your sell price in general, and I'll back this up with screenshots in a second, but in general, what you could, if you haven't ever sold yet and you're thinking about, is this profitable? It's going to be a good ballpark, a good way to look at this. But imagine your sell price is dispersed as follows to the following parties. So let's say you sell a $30 product. 33.3%, that's $10, would go to the supplier and freight. So that's manufacturing that product and shipping that product. Remember, you already did that. Yeah. So that $10, where it's just recouped capital because we already paid for that shipping and freight. So we take that $10 out and we're going to use that again for a reorder. That's 33%. The next third is going to go to Amazon. And this includes their referral fees, fulfillment fees, and PPC advertising, which we just covered. Again, that's a third. That's $10 going to Amazon. And lastly, a third of this is going to go to you. This is your net profit. So above and beyond paying all those costs to suppliers, freight forwarders, Amazon, advertising in terms of selling this product, you've paid that, recouped that, and you still have this third. This is net profit above paying everything. So this is what you've made essentially. So if this sounds too simple, I was very surprised by this, but I want to show you some real life screenshots. And these are stores of mine. Number one, here in the US sector, you can see we have a screenshot of sales, and the sales amount in the snapshot in this period is $3,000 more or less. And the profit you can see there at $1,000, and it actually works out to 34%. So just above what we just ran now. And if you click two more times, Seth, you can see these two pieces at the bottom. Here, the first 30%, this is cost of goods sold. That is our manufacturing. And we've also got shipping there. So shipping and freight comes out to 30%, just a bit less than what we just touched on.
Right.
And lastly, 36% at the bottom on the left here is our Amazon fees and ad budget. But I wanted to share this because often this is not broken down in detail. And I want you to be able to see that realistically from real screenshots. By the same token, you can see the UK here. Again, a snapshot, the sales number, and then again we have profit. And this is 34% again. Again, looking at the freight and manufacturing, that came out to 29%. And the Amazon fees in total with ads was 37%. So you can see how they're very, very similar. Now what I want to do is, now that you've seen the evidence of this, exactly how this works in different marketplaces as well. And again, it could be a bit higher, but I want to show you that thirds rule as a baseline. This is a screenshot from, again, a store of mine. This is a US store, and there are our 7-day sales. And if you click again, Seth, what we're going to do is take off those exact percentages as we just went through. So if we take off Amazon fees and PPC, that's 36%. So we deduct that. And if we click again, we're going to deduct the recouped capital. So from those 7 days of sales, we have taken back, this would still come into your bank account. You've taken back $4,831 at 30%, and you're going to use that to place your reorder. So you've already placed the reorder, inventory's on the way, and now you still have the net profit at 34%, which would be $5,476. And again, these two blocks just explain that same thing I covered. Your recouped capital, which you've got from manufacturing and shipping in the first place, you get that back and use it again. And lastly, if we click once more, is that net profit. And that's the money you've essentially made. You've just made that money from your value addition of bringing this to the market. But I just wanted to break this down because I don't think it's gone into enough detail. Especially as we speak about PPC ads, which can be very scary at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's 100% possible to work that down. And if you notice something here, if you flick back 2 slides, Seth, or 1 slide, yes, here. If you look at the bottom of the US screenshot, the PPC spend here in this snapshot is in fact 6%. And remember, we said you want to look for products with 40% before PPC, before considering PPC.
That's amazing.
So it does work out, and this is very realistic in terms of what you can expect. But you have to get over that hump, hump of ranking the product. There's also a review hump. You have to, after about 20 reviews, you get a bit more steam. So it's just about getting over that, the crest of the hill, and then it gets a lot easier, a lot more passive.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to give this example so people know exactly what to expect.
Yeah. And guys, for those of you who aren't members, we teach this in great detail, video by video. I know that this and the PPC can be daunting at first. Like, wait a minute, well, what is this? And if you don't understand the terms, then it's even harder. That's what we teach. But you guys are going to have an opportunity to meet a bunch of our staff. They're actually all outside there waiting. I'm going to bring them in a minute. But first, I just want to make you guys, I'm going to be, as I told you from the beginning, I want you to join Just One Dime. If you are serious about building passive income, I want you to join Just One Dime. And you can ask anyone here in the chat, do we live what we teach? Do we help people? Ask them right there. There are members here watching. But what I would like to do is my team and I would like to train you for not the next year, but for the rest of your life. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So this is called Amazon FBA Mastery. And we have something really unique that I'm going to tell you in about the next 5 minutes at the very end of this workshop that we've never announced before and never done before. So this is our entire membership. And the reason we call it a membership and not a course is because it's actually made up of 5 courses. You can go at your own pace. There's no, like, you have to do this by this time. We're giving you unending access to it, by the way. You can learn step by step. Every single technique works. Now, it doesn't work in every situation, no, but everything we teach, we have tested. And if it works, we're like, hey, this worked for me. Here you go. And we pass it on. Every week minimum, we are adding a new training video. Why? Because Amazon changes constantly. If you go buy a course and they're not constantly adding new videos every week, something's wrong. And I don't just mean adding a new video, but replacing old ones, because Amazon changes over time. We will teach you how to break the death by paycheck death cycle. And we will walk with you the entire way. That's why we have multiple coaches. We have a loving community, people who actually enjoy helping people. 2 of the qualifications I always look for in coaches is, number 1, do they actually enjoy helping people? Just, some people, they just like helping. That's the kind of heart and spirit I want to be true of Just One Dime always. That's the kind of staff who you're about to meet. They're actually going to come on video with me. That's the kind of heart they have. But second, they have to be successful. They have to know what they're talking about. Being nice is not enough. They also need to be good. So I want to challenge you guys. If you are not selling on Amazon or an entrepreneur, you can build a legitimate, huge emphasis on that word, scalable. That means you don't have to work 100 hours a day to make it happen. Over time, you can manage your time where you actually are selling and making money while you're sleeping. And that's why we call it passive income. Of course, it requires hard work to get there. Right now, while I'm teaching you, I'm making money on Amazon on multiple stores. You get a full support team helping you along the way. I'm in this office, not this room, but the same building. This is the Just When I'm headquarters. Now, can I succeed at this? Yes, you can. Here's what you have to do. You have to follow the steps, stay teachable, and give it at least 2 hours a day consistently. Some days could be a lot more, some days a lot less. Like when you're waiting for the manufacturer to send you the products, you're like, what do I do now? I'll do more product research for the next product. And there's other days where it's crazy. You feel like you don't have enough time. But as a general rule, I would commit to at least 2 hours a day consistently, 6 days a week. This is what I did when I had a full-time job with Apple. Now, what exactly are we going to give you? You get 5 courses. I don't take 5 different sections and call them courses to make it look impressive. They are courses. Why? When you compare it to the other courses out there, the amount of content we provide, each of these we literally could sell as a standalone because it is so thorough and in-depth. Course number 1 is about establishing your brand and getting set up. Course number 2 is about understanding the market. How do I find a product that actually works? Course number 3 is where you go really deep on finding manufacturers and differentiating and building and shipping the product to Amazon's fulfillment center. Course number 4 is launching, PPC, advertising, giveaway coupon clippings, all those things. And finally, course number 5 is how do I grow beyond that? How do I continue to expand my brand on Amazon? So it's not just selling stuff, it's actually a world-class recognized brand. One of our members sold his Amazon business for $1 million, another one for over 600,000. I will send you the videos if you want to watch them talk about this. Now, let me just go in a little more in depth. With the first course, Start, we teach you how to strategize your brand. You guys talked about trademarks. We go really deep on this. How to set up your business, how to open your Amazon account, how to set up your supplier accounts for a manufacturer, how to do accounting, which is often not spoken of, what you need to know about taxes, which a lot of people don't talk about. This is important. Guys, you're running a legitimate business. You got to do it the right way to keep yourself squeaky clean and accountable, but also to make money. And then what you need to know about business insurance. Second, we talk about how to master the market. We talk about listings, terminology, so you understand, how to research products, how to find products using a product-focused hunt, a keyword-focused hunt, a Europe-focused hunt, a PPC-focused hunt, and other platform-focused hunts. As you can see, we teach multiple ways to find products, not just one. And then how to research, how to evaluate that data. And then most importantly, and Dan, you spoke to this, how do I make my product something that people absolutely love? Listen, when you build a product that people love, people will give you money to buy that product off of Amazon. By the way, if you guys didn't know this, there are more people looking for products than there are sellers selling those products right now. This continues to grow. It is a problem. There's not enough Amazon sellers, very important asterisk, who know what they're doing, selling on Amazon. Course number 3 is how to manufacture the product. We talk about the difference between a real factory and middlemen. We talk about how to find a molding company if your product is extremely unique, how to use Gold Star and assess supplier filters in Alibaba and starting with samples, how to be really specific on what to do when you sign the actual contract. And there's a lot more. For launch, this is about launching your product. When you start selling it, how to do Amazon giveaways, how to create seller sequences. Those are the emails that go out from your seller central account. How to generate floods of organic reviews that Dan hinted towards. How to launch using PPC, how to analyze the PPC, which I spoke to, how to improve your listings ranking and conversion based on PPC data, how to launch with Facebook ads, a host of other advanced launch strategies. And then the last course is Grow. I love this one because this is where it begins to become a brand that people recognize. How to optimize your sales. Like you look at your sales, you say, okay, how can I drop my costs and raise my margins? How to protect your brand from hijackers. How to deliver amazing Amazon customer service, how to keep your Amazon account healthy. What do you do if you get a chargeback? What do you do if you get an A to Z claim? There's so many things that can happen. How do you handle these? We give you the knowledge so you know what you're doing. How to expand your brand beyond Amazon. How to handle IP infringement authenticity claims. How to expand your products into a world-recognized brand. Now, if I'm just to give you the highlights, guys, here's what it is. There's 5 full courses, 200 plus how-to videos. They're updated every single week. 500 plus training slides, suppliers to build your product. We find suppliers for you, for one of your products, not all of them. 3 to 5 hours of weekly live group coaching. Why is this important? because Amazon keeps changing. So you have to keep training. You can't just give someone a course and say, go be warmed and be filled. No, you have to teach them what's happening. Interactive quizzes so you can test your knowledge. 12 huge potential product ideas that are sent to you only. We won't send one to Alex and one to Susie. They get unique ones. 3 private mentor sessions with an Amazon expert coach. That's in addition to the 3 to 5 hours of weekly coaching I mentioned. And then a community of on-fire entrepreneurs who actually care about your success and will run with you. And I'm just going to briefly go through. We just pulled these from the Facebook group. I promise you we don't fake these. We couldn't, we wouldn't. I couldn't sleep at night if I did. These are just people who post. These are from our Facebook group, and we added in red underlines so it'll be really obvious. Look at this, 41,000 in 30 freaking days. These are results. 7,000 a month in sales. This guy's elated. One of these guys is 18 years old and he's crushing it. And he's practically a kid. No offense to all you teenagers. 81,000 year to date, May 31. Fired my boss. I'm amazed. Like I could literally spend 2 hours taking you through all of the sales. Like this guy here, Darian, 19,000 in 30 days at 40% margin. This was just posted a few days ago. Christine, I believe is her name. Now, here's the thing, guys. There's so many voices out there telling you how to sell on Amazon. I want to just take a moment to tell you why we're different, and then I'll introduce you to the staff. We live what we teach. I invite any of you to come by. They've done it many times. Come to our office and meet everyone. See what we're working on. See what we're doing. Look at our lives. Like we are transparent. We are here. Many of our students are now millionaires. Some of them, a millionaire, millions a year, millions a month. Millions a month. Think about that for a minute. Does that mean, of course, you're going to become a millionaire? Not necessarily. Could you? Of course you could. Are you willing to work hard? Are you willing to make it happen? I mean, when I started, I would have been happy with 5,000 a month. Like that's amazing. This is insane. We are not a one-man show touting the course. Why? Because I'm not stupid. I know there's no way I could do all the teaching needed and still run Amazon stores and know all the knowledge needed for Amazon. That's why we're mini coaches. Every single Just One Time coach is vetted. They have to send us screenshots of their sales and profit and loss statements. And as you know, we just did it now, but in the course, it's way more. We provide an almost ridiculous amount of content. And I believe, and it may sound arrogant, but I don't care, that we have the best training in the world. And we fight for that every freaking day to have the best training in the world. We don't hawk a course and then leave you in the dust. 2 countries have asked us to create customized training for their most successful businesses. You don't get that if you're just running around trying to sell a course. A world-renowned German car brand asked us to be the unique carrier of their products on Amazon as a wholesaler. This just kind of gives you an idea of the scope. I was invited to a private meeting with Amazon's headquarters November before last, with only a handful of other sellers in one small room. That's it. And they asked us advice on how to make it a better platform for sellers. I felt honored. Well, they can see my sales. They can see my Amazon account. There's a reason they invited me. And I don't say that in arrogance, but to tell you, we know what we're doing and we actually enjoy doing it. So again, just to give you a summary, and here's what I did, you guys. I put a value on each of these. See all these values? Based on what is in the market. I didn't just slap up a cute number and say, look how much you're getting. No, we research what are other courses that just teach you how to establish a brand. They're about 1,600. What are courses charging for mastering a market? Usually closer to 2,000. This reflects the market. Go Google it and find other courses that are good, the good ones. They're not all bad. This reflects the market. This is the value we offer. This is why we have a huge team of 20 plus staff. So if you were to combine all of that, that's $59,000. Now I know that might sound ridiculous at first. No, that actually is what you would spend if you went out and bought courses on each of these topics we covered. That's how much you would spend for a solid course. We sell ours for $19.97 a year. However, here's the special. You're going to get $200 off today only. Well, today to the end of this year. Second, you're going to get unending access to it. There's no rebill. Third, we're giving you $200 credit towards a full sourcing service. Okay, so you're going to save basically $400 total, and you get unending access. You go to justonetime.com/freedom, you enter freedom 200 at the end, and you will save $200 off the purchase. You have a $200 credit towards our full sourcing service if you decide to use it. And third, you get unending access, no rebill. We've never done this before. We're doing this, and then January 1, it stops. This deal was off the table January 1st. Now, I'm going to go through this fast because the audience, the staff are dying to get in here. Go ahead, Dan. You're going to say something, man?
No, I'm just laughing. I think that's. I really love that. It's a never-ending promo. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Just continue from there on.
Yeah, it's insane, you guys. And then here are the bonuses. Check this out. Give me 1 second. I got to plug that in. So product research dominance. We add this as a bonus to our training. Product launch and ranking. Here is another bonus to the training. PPC mastery, 100+ step-by-step slides, walking you through, sharing your screenshots, showing you how to do it. Like specifically, where do I click? What do I type in? How much? What do I do if it's a different category? We go through all of that. Lawyer training for brand protection. It's a 72-minute video presentation from a lawyer. Product review strategy. What do I do about getting organic reviews? Because I should not do incentivized reviews, and it works. We've tested it on our stores. Business mastery. How do I really become a legitimate businessman or woman? And then trademark brand expansion. This is one of my favorites. We go way deep on this. How to bring your brand to life, how to register your trademark, how to choose your, like it's crazy. This guy, Patrick, is an amazing guy. He lives in New York. He's one of our students. He now leads a bunch of people, and he has his own YouTube channel. He joined Just One Dime a year ago. It's actually not a year ago anymore. This was done a few months back, to be fair, to be honest. But he applied these techniques that we teach. He sold 80,000 units at $4 a unit, $320,000 in profit. And look at this, 13,000 in one day. And this is when we saw him at Ecom last March. I said, just send me a screenshot. He sent me a screenshot. Boom, there it is. 13,000 in one day. Like, it's really, really, really hard to compete with that when you're in the world of a 9-to-5. You just can't. So I want you guys to meet the staff, but I'm going to say one last thing before I bring them in, and then we're done here. And thank you guys for giving us the time to share with you today. Just give me 1 second. I want to see you. Okay. Here's what I want to say, and then I'm bringing in the staff, and then we're going. I want you to join for several reasons. Number one, I'm a businessman. I like to make money. Here I am. Just like you like to make money selling on Amazon, I make money selling on Amazon. I also like to make money with coaching. Absolutely 100%, totally legit, nothing wrong with that. But additionally, I remember what it is like to be in your shoes. You're working, you have a family, you have one or more jobs, you're stressed out, and you're like, oh my goodness, how am I ever going to get out of this? And I promise you this, and I say this because it's happened to me, you will never be ready to start your own business, ever. If you're waiting for the right moment, guess what, baby? It ain't happening. You'll never be ready. I was never ready for marriage. I got married. We were practically kids. We learned as we went. It was crazy. When I had my first kid, I wasn't ready. When I had my first house, I wasn't ready. Like, you'll never be ready. The way you get ready is you start. So if you're sitting there thinking, should I not? Ask a simple question. Do I want to build margin for me and those that I love? So I have freedom to do the things I want at the time I want, where I want, with the people that I want. That's what motivated me to leave Apple, the richest company in the world, and to start figuring out, how do I do this on my own? And I actually didn't fire Apple till after I was making a lot more on Amazon, because I wanted to be smart about it too. You can do this. You can. You know what I did when I didn't have enough money? I went and I started driving for Uber and Lyft. My wife and I walked through our entire house. We sold everything we didn't need. Hey, KK, Kimberly, can you come in here? Kimberly, she can't hear me. Can you get her? We sold everything. We just get everybody, bring him in. Come on, Kayla. I'll let you guys meet everybody. I want you guys to meet them. So I want you guys to meet the Just When I'm staff, so you realize we're real people. We love what we do. Let me back this up so you guys can see everybody. You guys got to crowd in so the camera can get everybody. This is going to be hard to do.
I'm turned on.
My business partner, this is Tim. That's Ashley. You guys probably saw her on the podcast. This is Brooke. This is Dakota. This is KK, my wife right there. This is Adelie. This is EJ. That's Jacob. There's Caleb. And this is only a little portion of the staff, because a lot of them are on Christmas break, because, they're traveling the world and stuff like that. But anyways, we just wanted to say hi to you guys. This is Just One Dime. This isn't one dude around touting a course. These people are here to support you and help you. They work night and day to provide the back-end support to help you succeed. But I promise you this, look at all these people, super amazing, cool, beautiful people. Not one of them can make you successful. I can't either. If you're depending on me, please take that burden off of me. I can't do it. I won't be your Messiah. I will lead and guide. We will help you, will support, but you have to make that decision for you. So again, go here, justonedime.com/freedom. And when you get to the coupon code, type this in, margin 200.
Freedom 200.
Oh, okay. Freedom. Sorry. Okay. Freedom. That's why. Thanks, Josiah. I appreciate you, man. I'd lose my brain without him. You type in freedom 200. It'll give you $200 discount. You get unending access to the community and the training. Unending. Okay. This is unending. We're not going to rebill you. We're not going to ask for that. We've never done this before. And you get $200 credit if you use our sourcing service. Okay. If you decide you want the full sourcing and all that, $200 right off the top, you just get back immediately. And then whatever you decide to do is up to you. So go there now if you guys want to join. Awesome. Yep. Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, go there. Love you guys. Have an awesome day. Everybody say bye.
Bye.
I'll see you later. Merry Christmas to you guys. See you guys later. Oh, I turned this off. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay.